Don't you just hate it when you're late already and then the barrier comes down and guess what? You've got a puncture. Next train? I've got my shiny new 12-speed P-line Brompton, and unfortunately I've got a puncture on my rear wheel. So I'm going to have to change it. So I found a nice sheltered area in case it rains, but it is easier to change it in a stand. And you know what? I don't bring one with me, so I'm going to improvise. Shopping trolley stand, meet Brompton. Thank you, self-scan. Perfect. I would advise you to take a pump with you, unlike what I've done, no pump. It also makes a nice hat and glove store so that I don't have to wear my helmet and my gloves whilst I'm changing my tyre. Step 1, make sure you're in the smallest sprocket. I'm actually just going to whip my pedal off, pop them in my hat for safekeeping, and then change into the highest gear and check I'm in the smallest sprocket. Step 2, release the tension from the chain. We're just going to lift the chain tensioner up and move it to one side. Step 3, undo the gear indicator chain from the cable anchor using this knurled nut. It won't be very tight, it should only be finger tight. Turning the knurled nut on the cable anchor. 4, undo the gear indicator chain from the hub. Turning it lefty-loosey. Quick note, this is not the same gear indicator chain as used on the 3-speed. And no, you can't get them anywhere else than Brompton. Step 5, hope that I remembered my Brompton toolkit. And breathe a sigh of relief when you have. Step 6, realise why the Brompton toolkit hasn't changed and you need it for your 12-speed P-line. It made the purchase all worthwhile. Anyway, using your 15mm spanner, undo the gear indicator chain nut, which is actually surprisingly tight. Note, if you have mudguards installed, you can't actually turn it around very far. Now I'm going to undo the other side. So for this, I need to remove the nut cap, put that safe for later. Then undo the nut with my 15mm spanner. Keep that safe for later. Next, remove the tab washers. Tip, if they're tight, you just wiggle the wheel and they come loose. You need to remove them from both sides. And keep them safe for later. Step 8, we found it easier to take the chain off the chainring to give us some slack to remove the rear wheel. Then squeeze the tyre to get it to pass through the brake calipers. Then I'm just going to simply remove my wheel. I'm now going to remove my tyre and inner tube and mend my puncture. We're not going to bore you with all of the details. We have made videos on these before, so we put a link in the description below. The only thing I found a bit tricky was actually getting the rear wheel past the chain tensioner and out of the axle. I just had to be a little bit rough with it, but it came out. Let's see what it's like to put it back in. Reinstalling the rear wheel. We're going to offer the rear wheel up. So it's very important to get your chain on the right way on your small sprocket. That is like this. We realised when making this video that we didn't explain the chain routing in detail. So here we go. The chain goes over the jockey wheel and then under the smallest sprocket. And it is really important to get it right because otherwise you're going to get it in a kink. Now I'm going to line my axle up with the frame. That is easiest on the non-drive side. Then I'm just going to off my wheel into the dropouts, like that. Now I'm going to grab my tab washers and my bolts that are safe in my helmet. Next, I'm going to put my tab washer on, making sure it's correctly lined up, and then followed by a bolt. Obviously making sure I choose the right one. I'm just going to do it finger tight, and then I'll do the other side. And then the same on the other side. Making sure the tab washer is aligned properly, and then pop the bolt on. Now tighten it up using my Brompton Toolkit spanner. I don't have a torque wrench with me, sorry. And then the same on the other side. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I nearly forgot, I haven't put my nut cap back on. Pop the chain tensioner back on the chain and make sure everything goes round. Next, the all-important gear indicator chain, because I really do want those 12 speeds. So it simply feeds in, and it actually goes all the way inside to the middle of the hub. So that's why it's quite so long. You just turn it right to get it to connect. Keep going until it feels tight. Now you need to make sure you're in your slackest gear, gear 3. Otherwise you can't make it join. Okay, presto. First of all, we attach the cable anchor to the gear indicator chain. We do it up. And then we lock it in place using the knurled lock nut. We're not going to show you how to set up your hub gears. It is exactly the same as it was on a C-Line Brompton. And we've made a really long video on that before, so we're not going to bore you with that one. We'll put a link in the description below. Because I'm stupid, I forgot my pump. So I'm now going to walk my bicycle back to a local bike shop and beg to use their pump and then go for a test ride. Come on, bicycle. Off we go. Sometimes I would forget my head. I've almost forgot my helmet, my pedal and my toolkit. Bye. The walk of shame to go and get my bicycle tyre pumped up. On occasions when you have forgotten your pump, you can just pump it to your nice local bike shop and ask to borrow their track pump. It makes it a lot easier. Now I have stolen some air from a lovely bike shop and I'm going to take my bike for a test ride. So the thing I found a lot easier about the P-Line 12-speed rear wheel over the C-Line 6-speed rear wheel is you've got less nuts and bolts, the chain tensioner doesn't want to fly off and hit you in the face, and it was just an easier process, but getting the wheel out was a bit of a trick to manage. If you like this video, which was assisted by a shopping trolley, about removing and reinstalling your Brompton 12-speed rear wheel, we'd really like it if you gave us a big thumbs up. Now I have some pumping to do. I can't go. Don't you just hate it when you're late for work? It's right. Am I leaving it on? Step 8, I think we're at. Squeeze the tyre so that it passes through the brakes. I see his point. Next, I'm going to put my tab washer in, making sure it's orientated correctly. which that isn't.